Hello students, welcome back. We have almost finished all the lessons of Science 2. Now we are left with the EVS lesson. The EVS lesson number 15, striving for better environment. Now here in this lesson, we are going to study what is the environment, why we are required to safeguard it, why we are required to preserve it, why we have to strive for it. Now, what do you mean by striving? Taking care or taking some pains, taking some measures to clean up our environment, to preserve our environment. Therefore, this lesson name, striving for better environment. What environment we have now? We have to strive for a better one for the next future generation. So we are going to focus on the basic issues which are environment related. This is part 2 of EVS, which will be actually carrying 4 marks in your paper. The paper will be of 40 marks, Science 2 and Science 1. 40 marks will have 4 marks weightage for EVS part. So we are going to learn about the various measures which we can take for making our environment better. In this part, now what are we going to cover? We are going to cover how to use efficiently the resources which are available to us, how to use the eco-friendly way of resources, how to use the resources which are sustainable for life. So these are the measures which we have to take and how we will take it. Now let us first concentrate on what is environment. Environment is our surrounding. The surrounding which contains the biotic and the abiotic factors. This is called our environment. Do we need to safeguard our environment? Why this need came that we should save our environment? Who is spoiling it? We, the human beings, are actually spoiling it. The human beings are making use of all the resources present around us. We are making use of air, water, soil, animals, plants, and all the other things, all the type of resources which are present on this earth. Now there is a population explosion. So much population is increasing day by day. What is the effect of population on the environment? The population explosion actually is creating a crisis for water, a crisis for energy, crisis for the raw materials which are available in the environment, crisis for the energy which is required for small things. Now what is crisis? When I am saying crisis means something which is short of. We are fighting for water. We are fighting for energy which is available through so many resources. We are fighting for raw materials which are required for so many processes by humans. Then what has happened? We are not using the raw materials in a proper way. Indiscriminate use of raw materials has led to all these problems. We have soil which we are making use of, which we have air which we are making use of, we are making use of plants, we are making use of the plants present in the forest, we are making use of animals. But are we making them proper use? Are we taking proper use from them? No. The ways which we are following are not proper. That's why there are so many pollution problems in our air. There are so many pollution problems in our seawater. Pollution is in soil. Pollution is everywhere. So what needs to be done? What is the need of R? The need of R is the use of efficient and eco-friendly technology. Now when I say technology, means the process, the techniques which we should use. What techniques are required? The techniques which are efficient, the techniques which may reduce the pollution level, the techniques which may use the raw materials in a proper way. These techniques are required. Now why this eco-friendly technology is used? Eco-friendly technology means the technology which is friendly for our ecology, or ecology means here the environment. The technology which does not harm our environment, the technology which uses the raw materials in such a way that minimum wastage of resources can take place. Minimum wastage means when I am making use of some resources, actually at present large amount of resources are going waste and only some 40 to 50% we are using and 50 to 60% almost we are wasting. We should use such technology where the wastage is minimum. Secondly, we should use technology which will not create damage to the environment. Now, damage to environment means we are not harming the environment in any way. Such type of technology which is eco-friendly. When I am using the word eco-friendly means it is a friend to our ecology. What is ecology? Ecology is the relation between the biotic and the abiotic factors which are making up the whole environment. So, the technology or the technique which we are using should be friendly to our environment. Minimum waste of raw materials and minimum damage to the environment should take place. These are our main aim of using the eco-friendly technology. What are the examples of eco-friendly technology? The eco-friendly technology, some of the examples which are mentioned are here. Solar power. That means the power or the energy which is present in the sun, and that abundant amount of energy can be used to generate power, and that is solar power. Second is wind power. The wind is moving, we are not making use of that wind or air. When the wind moves with a high pressure, large amount of power is reserved in them, and that can be used very easily as wind power. The third type example is biogas. Biogas, that means when the plants and animal waste is collected and the microorganisms act over it, it produces large amount of energy in the form of a gas which is produced, and that is called as biogas. This is very friendly to environment, or you can say eco-friendly. The fourth example which we can use at our homes to preserve energy, that is pressure cooker. Every house can use pressure cooker for cooking maximum things. Many times it is seen that we are not using pressure cooker and we are using double the amount of gas or double the amount of LPG. That can be escaped by using the pressure cooker. So the eco-friendly technology, the examples which we can learn in very easy way are solar power, wind power, biogas and pressure cooker. Now, how we can make use of solar power? The solar power is abundant in nature. Sun's energy is so much that we are not even using 1% of it. So if we use maximum sun's energy, how much amount of solar power can be used? Now it has been suggested that solar panels can be put on the buildings. The solar panels can absorb large amount of heat from the sun, large amount of light from the sun. Now when we want electric power, the heat can be absorbed and used for lighting the bulbs, lighting the street lights, lighting the building corridors. So the lights which are used continuously can be used by solar power. And solar water heater, the solar water heater is a device where the sun energy is trapped by the solar panels, and then that energy is utilized for heating up the water. So many societies nowadays are providing the solar panels on their buildings, on their floor, on their whole buildings, and then this heat is trapped. This heat is transferred to the water tanks which heats up the water, and instead of using the geysers at home, we can use this heat, hot water, to send to the various houses. This not only in the building but for the small houses also it can be installed. So solar panels, what are they made up of? Solar panels are actually made up of silicon which have the ability to absorb the heat. This silicon are placed in a panel ways which are they are facing the sunlight, and that sunlight is absorbed. And this is how the solar water heater, the solar power can be utilized for many things. What about the wind power? The wind power, the wind has lot of power. If you have seen any videos where the hurricanes have come or large amount of destruction has taken place because of the high pressure in the wind, you must have seen how much power the wind has. Now if we utilize this power, what may happen? This utilization can be done in the form of windmills. Now what is a windmill? Now windmill are the huge structure in which the fans are attached, and these fans are not moving with your electric power. They are moving with the help of wind. That's why the windmill is said. This windmill, when it moves with the help of the wind, it rotates. When it rotates, it is connected to the generator. And when it is connected to the generator, that generator creates power. And this is how the windmill can be utilized, where we are actually making use of the wind's energy and getting it converted to electrical energy. This is how the wind power can be used. What about the biogas? Now biogas means in the agricultural field, large amount of plant waste, animal waste is collected. So this is called as organic waste. The organic waste can be collected in a huge pit which can be dug up, and here the huge pit can be collected with all the organic waste. That means the agricultural waste, the cow dung and all other animal waste can be collected in this. Now this is formed in a form of slurry. Slurry means it is added with water and large amount of microorganisms act on it, because it's all dead plants and animals. When microorganisms act on it, what happens? It slowly changes into a biogas. Now this gas which is produced, because it is produced biologically, this gas name is, in common terms, it is called as biogas. So this biogas can be utilized in various houses of the villages, in the small towns, as in place of LPG gas. This biogas can be used in kitchens. This biogas can be used for heating purpose, and this biogas also can be transported from the biogas plant to various houses through the pipelines. Whatever is remaining, that is actual, we can replace it with the manure, because it's a dead plant and animal waste, and that waste, once it is acted upon by microorganisms, the waste which is left over can be utilized in the fields as manure. So we are not wasting anything. This is how we are making use of the energy of plants and animals which have died. What about the pressure cooker? The pressure cooker is a simple device which can be used in kitchens. The pressure cooker, generally what happens, we cook any vegetable, dal, in a frying pan or in a big vessel, and if we cover it, even if we cover it, the steam which is produced can come out, because it can leak out. There are spaces in between to leak out. But if a device like pressure cooker, which can be easily fixed with a lid which has only one steam outlet to come out, there what will happen? The steam is generated. When steam is generated, now how is this steam generated? We are putting some vegetable or rice or dal, we are putting water in it. When we are heating, what happens? Because the whole structure is closed, the water gets heated very fast. When the water gets heated very fast, the steam is produced, and that steam which is produced is not allowed to go out. When it is not allowed to go out, it has large amount of energy. The heat doubles up very fast. When heat doubles up very fast, it cooks the food, whether it is dal, whether it is rice, whether it is vegetable, in less than half the time which is required if I put it in a kadai. So this is how you Save energy, you save time in a pressure cooker. Energy is saved because the steam is producing double the amount of energy which is required. So if I cook a dal separately in a vessel and if I cook a dal in a pressure cooker, I'll see that pressure cooker cooks in half the time of that kadai. And this is how we can save time, this is how we can save energy. Now whose energy we are saving? We are saving the energy which is used for heating. That means either I am using the stove or either I am using the LPG gas. The LPG gas, if it is running for 20 minutes and if it is running for 10 minutes, it makes a difference. We are saving energy, and this is how the pressure cooker is working on. The principle on which the pressure cooker is working, the steam is produced very fast. This steam has the molecules which are having double the energy, and that energy plus the heat energy is cooking the food faster. This is the principle on which the pressure cooker is working. This is what the examples we can see for eco-friendly technology. The solar power, the wind power, the biogas and the pressure cooker. We talked of eco-friendly technology. We saw how many examples can be followed. We can use solar power, we can use wind power, the biogas, the pressure cooker. What is the use of it? We are actually not damaging the environment so much with help of all this. We are making use of raw materials from the nature, that we are making use of wind, we are making use of sun. So we are not damaging the environment. Secondly, we are not wasting an excess amount of energy. We are wasting, maybe if there is a wastage, there is a minimal amount of wastage. That was eco-friendly technology. Now eco-efficiency. Now the term eco-efficiency was given by WBCSD, that means the World Business Council for Sustainable Development. World Business Council, there is a council made for development of sustainable environment or sustainable resources. Sustainable means the resources which can be used and can be continuously used and which can sustain life here, because of which the life can continue. So such type of council was made in 1992 and they gave a term eco-efficiency. Eco-friendly means which are friendly to the environment. Eco-efficiency means the raw materials or the resources which we are using are efficient, very efficiently, very useful for us, and they can be made use of in maximum amount. And this term was given by WBCSD. You have to remember who gave the term, because this type of 1 mark question can come. Eco-efficiency was termed by dash. So you should be able to answer complete word. WBCSD, that means World Business Council for Sustainable Development. That's why I have written this on board. You have to write it and learn it. In 1992, this council gave the word eco-efficiency. Now what did they say? They said that what does it mean? They said that it means the creation of goods, whatever we are trying to make, the creation of any type of thing or goods and services which we are providing, you should use fewer resources, less amount of resources, and should create less waste. That means there should not be more wastage and we should use the resources in a minimum amount. If we are using resources too much, maybe that resource will not be available for us after some generations, like what's happening now. Every country is fighting for water, and it is said that maybe the world war next may be for the water. The water crisis has come. We are fighting for water, and water is one of the major resources, and that's why it means eco-efficiency. That means efficient use of water should be there. I gave the example of water. There are number of resources which are indiscriminately used by people all over the world, and therefore this means that creation of goods, anything what we make, and services, whichever service we are providing to people, it should use fewer resources and it should create less wastage. This is the meaning of eco-efficiency. Now, how can it be achieved? What are the ways we can achieve eco-efficiency? Now, you can be asked a question, what are the ways, or write 5 ways of achieving the eco-efficiency. So even if you know these ways, it's more than enough. I am going to explain one by one, but first we will see what are the ways in which it can be achieved, or eco-efficiency can be achieved. So use of alternative raw materials, as I said, in place of wood, rice straw and wheat straw can be used. Wheat straw can be used in place of wood in cement bonded particle, and in rice straw can be used in the insulation board. So there is an alternative for everything. We have to find out the alternative which can actually reduce the amount of raw materials which we are using. Secondly, shifting to renewable sources of energy. Renewable means what? The things which can be renewed. Now we are using fossil fuels. What are fossil fuels? We are using petrol, we are using diesel, we are using LPG. So all these are non-renewable sources. Why we say they are non-renewable sources? We are using petrol in such a huge amount that it is said that next generation may not get, another 20 years, 50 years, you may not get the petrol to run your cars, because fossil fuels are the fuels formed by the various plants and other organisms and animals which have been got deeply buried. When it has got deeply buried, what has happened? Due to high temperature and high pressure, this has slowly changed into fuels which we are using now as petrol. Now when we are using petrol, diesel so fast all over the world, that wherever reserves are there of fossil fuels, they are getting depleted very fast. Depleted very fast means they are getting finished very fast. So what to do? One fine day will come when there will be no petrol. We cannot run our vehicles anymore. Then what will happen? That's why it is said, shift to renewable sources of energy. Shift to it. Start using solar panels, start using biogas, start using the wind energy power which can run in place of petrol. How to do that? What to do that? The renewable sources can be utilized in place of fossil fuels. Now, CNG is what? Compressed natural gas. This natural gas is present above the layer from which we are getting the petrol, and this gas is formed as a result of high temperature and pressure. The compressed natural gas is utilized in place of petrol nowadays, and that is very good way. Why? Because CNG is running, it's considered to be a better fuel, it's considered to be a cleaner fuel. Clean fuel means it does not pollute the environment as the fossil fuels are polluting. Fossil fuels like petrol and diesel contain large amount of sulfur, large amount of nitrogen, and that sulfur and nitrogen gets converted to oxides, and therefore they get mixed in the environment and create large amount of pollution. If we use CNG, what will happen? The pollution rate will decrease, as it is considered a very good and clean fuel. Now when we make biogas, the biogas can be utilized for kitchen purpose. That means the LPG, liquefied petroleum gas, can be replaced with the biogas. Whatever is left, as I said, in the biogas plant, it is something is left down which is called as slurry, and that slurry of bagasse, BAGASSE, bagasse can also be utilized in place of manure and fertilizers, and this is how we can make use of them. Bagasse and biogas can be utilized. Now what is left in the sugarcane? Sugarcane can be utilized for making the ethanol purpose. Ethanol means alcohol. Now alcohol is made by the fermentation of the sugarcane juice. Once the juice is removed, whatever is left is called molasses, and that molasses is reacted with yeast and alcohol is produced. This alcohol is added to the petrol and that's why many times you see the power petrol is utilized. The power petrol runs very efficiently, produces less amount of pollution, and this is how the ethanol or alcohol can be used to make power fuel. You must have seen on petrol pumps, power fuel is available and normal fuel is available. So power fuel is added with ethanol or alcohol, which is creating less pollution. This is the way we can shift to renewable sources of energy. Third, technology that reduces pollution. Now, as I said, I have almost covered this. If we use LPG, instead of LPG, I can use biogas. We use petrol. Instead of petrol, we can use CNG. The CNG is compressed natural gas, which is a much better and cleaner fuel. So these are the examples where we can use these type of fuels which can reduce the pollution. Unleaded petrol. The petrol, normally petrol which we get is containing lead, but unleaded petrol is quite cleaner fuel, and it does not harm the environment by producing harmful gases. So this is how we can use technology that reduces the pollution. Reusing and recycling waste. Reuse and recycle. Now many of the waste which we see in our houses also, or the waste which is collected, contain large amount of plastics. What can we do for plastic? Now otherwise, if I burn this waste, plastic will create large amount of pollution. But this plastic can be recycled. And this recycling means again sent back to the factories where they are again heated up and they can be recycled to make another plastic material. This is how the plastics can be recycled. Glass can be recycled. Metals can be recycled. Then the other products, paper can be recycled. Polythene bags can be recycled. So these are the recycled materials which can again go to the factories, get it made a new one instead of just burning and throwing it in the environment. Many things we can reuse. The paper can be reused. That means the paper which is torn or shredded can be used and to make a handmade paper, can be used to make the glazed paper, can be used to make the paper plates, can be used to make the toilet papers, tissue papers, etc. This is the reuse and recycling of things which can actually save large amount of energy. Old cycle tires. How it can be recycled? It can be recycled by making the playgrounds where the softness is required, so it can be flattened and it can be changed into playground flooring. Hello students, welcome back. We were discussing about the eco-efficiency. What is eco-efficiency? This term was given by WBCSD in 1992. What is WBCSD? World Business Council for Sustainable Development. They coined this term to tell us how efficiently we can make use of some of the fuels which are present in this earth, or we can use the environment, how efficiently we can use the environmental raw materials which are present for us. Now this means, eco-efficiency actually means the creation of goods and services using fewer resources. As I said, the resources which are available to us, how we can make use in a fewer amount and creating a less wastage. That means the wastage should be so much less that it should not harm the environment. This is how we mean by eco-efficiency. How it can be achieved? It can be achieved by these 5 methods. First method we studied, use of alternative raw material. Now the example which I told you was, instead of wood, if we use rice straw, if we use wheat straw, we can actually save the large amount of wood which are used for various purposes. Then shifting to renewable sources of energy. Now what is shifting to renewable? The renewable sources of energy are those energies which can be renewed, which can be made again and again. The examples which I gave was biogas, bagasse, that is the molasses, and the ethanol, that is alcohol. Biogas is made by the plant waste and animal waste, when it is converted with the help of microorganisms, it is converted into a fuel, and that is called as biogas. It can be continuously renewed because in agricultural fields, large amount of plant waste and animal waste is always generated. So in this way, the biogas can be produced. What about the bagasse? Bagasse is the leftover thing when the sugar cane is utilized, or sugar cane is used for making the sugar cane juice, which is further used for making sugar. So once we extract this juice, what is left is called bagasse, B-A-G-A-S-S-E. Another name is molasses. And then it is fermented to produce alcohol or ethanol. Now alcohol has lot of uses, even the medicinal uses are lots for alcohol. So this can be used, this alcohol which is produced can be added to the petrol, and that petrol is called as power fuel, and which produces less amount of pollution, and it is more efficient than the petrol. Then third one, the technology that reduces pollution. What are the technology which can reduce pollution? Now, instead of burning the wood for firework or burning the food for making food, we can make use of LPG, we can make use of liquefied petroleum gas, we can, instead of petrol, we can make use of CNG, and this technology can actually save our environment because these are considered to be a clean fuel. Another example given is that if we use unleaded petrol, the unleaded petrol will not have extra amount of nitrogen or sulfur which may add to the pollution in the environment. So unleaded petrol is also one of the very good use for cleaning the environment or keeping the environment clean. Fourth one is reusing and recycling waste. Reuse and recycle. There are many things which we just throw away, like paper, plastic, glass, polythene bags. These can be reused. We can think of various ways of reusing them. And if it is not reused, it can be recycled. Plastic can be very well recycled. Glass can be recycled. Recycling also helps in conservation of energy. Reuse. The used paper can be made another use of it by making the envelopes or making the big packets or for making the handmade papers, for decorative materials. All this can be made from the used papers. Old tires. The old tires can be used for making the floor of the sports ground, and that is also one of the very good use of old tires. We are talking about recycling, but what are the advantages of recycling? There are various advantages. As I said, if I am recycling a particular thing, I am not throwing it away. That means it is not going in the environment. So how I am conserving the environment? So advantages of recycling will be conserves energy and raw material. As I said, energy is saved because I am not throwing it away. I am reusing it. And the raw material, also new raw material I don't need. So this is how conservation of energy and raw material. Second, saves space used in the landfills. What is a landfill? The land where we are dumping all the waste. Now, if I am not dumping the recycling products, obviously I am saving some space in the landfill. Third, in general, it is protecting the environment. So when I am not throwing in the landfill, I am not using it as again the new raw material, I am actually protecting the environment. And fourth, reduces the cost of production. Now whenever we have to produce something new, I am actually utilizing so much money. But already if I am having a thing which can be recycled just by heating and again molding it, I am saving lot of money. So when I am saving lot of money, it is reducing my cost of production. So these are the various advantages of recycling of some things which we can actually protect the environment. Fourth is durable goods. The durable goods means the such goods should be taken which lasts for a long time. It is having a long life. We should not take goods, break it up, throw it away. Again take new goods. It's not good for the environment. So many times it is seen that copper wires are used for telephone wires. Nowadays it is being replaced by the optic fibers. Optic fibers have proved to be a very good replacement for copper wire because it works more efficiently than copper wires. In automobiles, in various types of automobiles, it can be scooter, it can be car, it can be lorry, where metals were used, nowadays plastics are used. Now plastics are non-corrosive, they are non-reactive, and that is why it can be very well used and it goes on for life and life. That means its life is increased. So many things are being replaced by plastic now. This is the way we can actually save the environment, and we can recycle and reuse various things. Now we come to what is sustainable use of resources. Sustainable use of resources, the resources which are going to remain for us for our lifetime, and those resources we have to save it for long time for growth and development of our country or of our world. Now where we are talking, when I am talking of the world, we are talking about the world which is facing so many problems in environment. We are having so much growth and development in the field of industries, factories, infrastructure, medicines, housing. So many things are coming up. We have to think of so many things. In housing, we need raw materials. In industries, we need raw materials. In developing any infrastructure, that means I have to develop the road, I have to make the buildings, I have to make the bridges, I need some good infrastructure. Then I have to make medicines, I need raw materials. For all these things are done for our growth and our development. Now this growth and development will take place only if the conservation of environment is going hand in hand with them. If I am growing, if I am developing, if my country is developing, if the country is growing, it is also using so much raw material from the environment. But we should keep in mind that we have to protect our environment, we have to see for the conservation of our environment. How we can do that? How at individual level, at community level, what we can do to utilize these raw materials efficiently. That means at an individual level, what can you do as a student? At homes, you can actually think of putting off the lights, putting off the switches when not in use. When not in use, put off the telephone wires, remove the electric points so that the energy is saved. See that you are not wasting water too much. If there is any leakage, you can replace it with some new pipes and new taps. What I am saying is, at a individual level, it's very easy for us to actually conserve environment if we are aware of it. And then waste management. When I talk of waste, you know that so much waste is coming from kitchen, so much waste is coming from industries, so much waste is coming from factories. But industries and factories, they have different set of rules. But what about our homes? What do we do about our waste? Now, if you have seen, if you have noticed, the government also has made compulsory to separate or segregate the wet and the dry garbage. The wet garbage, which comes from the kitchen, which actually contains the vegetable peels, the unused food, or some things which can be degraded. And another type of waste, which is dry waste, may contain any plastic material, paper, and all your dirt and other things which are not renewable or not biodegradable. So we have to separate this wet and dry garbage so that there is no further wastage of energy for segregating them or for separating them. At community level, what can be done? Now in villages, small towns and villages where the people are grazing their cattle, they take to a pasture or they take to a green field. If they try to take them to a different fields, one only field will not get disturbed and the energy level may get transferred. So they also have to, at a community level, if we go on changing the pasture, it becomes easy for the environment to conserve. So at community level, what can be done? The rotational grazing is a very good option and it should be a decision made by the community for saving the environment. Use of photovoltaic cells can be used for street lighting or for gardens and for traffic signals also. This way the community can help in conservation of environment.